And I'm not really here to discredit or to make anybody feel bad about that. But I said, I'm gonna tell you, I think that some of it may relate to the fact that in our society we're not trained to prepare. And I said, the thing about having the life that you want, and I said, look, I don't care. I'm not here to tell y'all what profession you should want to be in. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you should want to where you want to live or what kind of person you want to be. I said, I assume you just want to be happy. Like, and I don't think you're going to disagree with me on that. I said, so the thing about happiness and getting what you want out of life and being where you want to be is that typically that doesn't happen by accident, right? Typically that happiness, that fulfillment, wealth, whatever it is you want, whether you want to have a great relationship, you want to be in great shape, you want to catch the bus on time to get to school, whatever it is, it usually comes down to preparation. And I said, so I guarantee you that 99% of the time, when you run into situations in life where there's something you want and you can't get it, I guarantee you that more preparation will get you where you want to get to. I said, so for example, I'm not a broke man. Now, remember, I'm not the dad. I'm the bonus dad, and I'm a proud bonus dad. I love being the bonus dad to these kids. I said, but think about it. I said, I got money, your daddy got money, and your mama got money. A lot of black people ain't got no money. A lot of black people don't have a lot of money. I said, now, if you want to know the secret for how all of us got money, it's because we prepared. It's just simple preparation. I said, when we were in our 20s, all of us were saving, we were investing, we were preparing because we knew that one day we'd get a little bit older and we'd want to have resources. We'd want to have what we need to be able to provide for you and to do the things we think that we're supposed to do. So what I was really talking a lot about was just these basic ideas of preparation, temporary sacrifice for long-term gain. Some people may call this delayed gratification. That's another term that might be used for this. And I don't believe that any of this is encouraged in society. I don't believe that in our society we really challenge people to really prepare for the future or to do the things that are preventative. An ounce of prevention is usually worth a pound of cure. For example, I always found it really interesting how because we try so hard not to judge people or make them feel bad about their choices, someone will go to the doctor and be clearly doing things that are killing themselves, like clearly eating the wrong food, clearly not taking their medication, clearly coming in, morbidly obese, in horrible shape. And the doctor will not be, is not, I don't think they're even allowed to even say, I think you really need to change this, or if you keep doing this, bad things are going to happen. We just sort of deal with the issue and don't say anything that might remotely make them feel bad about their choice. And I kind of feel that's wrong. I feel like challenging people a little bit is a good way to go, and so that's what I was doing with the kids. I was challenging them, and hopefully that went through. They probably ignored me. They probably sat in the back laughing about how I was like the preachy dad or something, but I don't care. I said, y'all gonna take this message today because got me out here driving y'all to school because y'all didn't get ready and didn't get up on time. All right. So anyway, all right. So let me just say hello to Tonia Patillo, the wonderful Patillo family. Good to see you. Let's see here. I see Gregory and Charlene and Sharon. Good to see you. April West, Olivia, George Calhoun, Ralph out of the Bronx, Winston Butler, David Francis. Good to see you. Karen Dorsey, Eric Bennett, Antonio Fuller, L. Nicholas, Carolyn Thomas, Gina Mills. I see all of you here. So very good to see all of you. And let's jump in. Now, one thing I want to mention quickly is that if you want to get you always talk about the $5 a day investing plan. There is an ebook attached to that. If you would like to pick up a copy of the ebook, there's a URL. You can feel free to write this down. It's b1investing.com. That's b the number one investing.com. And so there's some free resources there if you want to pick up something that can help you to implement the $5 a day plan. That's the thing that we've been talking about a lot. It's part of the Black Wealth Master Plan. So b the number one b1investing.com. So feel free to take a look at that. Secondly, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that was on my mind this morning as it pertained to student loans. I was listening to an interview. The guys at Earn Your Leisure were interviewing Robert Smith, I think that's his name, the billionaire. And I never met Robert Smith, but he said something really interesting about the student loan forgiveness thing that happened when they were at Morehouse. Does anybody remember that? Give me a yes if you remember that. When Robert Smith gave the speech at Morehouse, the commencement address, and in the speech, he surprised everybody by saying that I'm going to pay off all your student loans. Anybody remember that? And I thought it was remarkable and wonderful and beautiful and extraordinary, and I was incredibly happy that he did that. I thought it was a great thing for him to do. Now, now here's where I'm going to sort of lay out some nuances, and Robert mentioned some of these nuances. So this is not just coming from me. This is also him. He talked about a couple of things that were interesting. First thing he mentioned was more from a practical standpoint. He talked about the tax implications of giving and receiving gifts. So if you receive a gift like that, there could be a tax bill attached to that. And he said that that was one thing that they had to deal with when they were paying off people's loans because they didn't want to put them in a different kind of debt with the IRS. And that was made sense. It was interesting. And then he mentioned something that I'd seen in stats, but it really popped out in my consciousness when I heard him talk about it. And he mentioned that 60% of black wealth goes toward paying student loans. 60%. Now I knew the number was big. I'd seen some data on it. I didn't know that it was 60%. I did not know that 60% of the inheritance, your children's birthright, 60% of the wealth, the very scarce, rare wealth in the black community goes toward paying student loans. And I understand exactly how the economic trap works. The trap is very simple. You tell black people, hey, the way to get better in life is to go and give all your money to these big universities run by white people, and they're going to give you these skills that are going to help you get better jobs, which is going to somehow miraculously lead to you becoming wealthier. And it doesn't work like that because jobs are not a pathway to wealth. It's hard to really work your way to wealth because most Americans cannot operate at enough of an economic surplus to actually engage in the wealth building process. To actually build wealth, you have to have a surplus, which means that your income has to exceed your expenses by enough that that extra money can become part of your nest egg, part of your stock, your nuts you stored for the winter that you then are able to deploy to various forms of investing to let your wealth grow. Now, I'm going to add to what Robert said and mention something that you may have heard me mention before, that half of all black college graduates default on their student loans. So when you default on the student loans, not only is a big chunk of your wealth drained, but also it means that your ability to build wealth has been inhibited. So it's almost like you're in a race and you're running, and two things happen. Number one, you ran 8 miles, but they take away 4 of those miles. And then number two, they not only take away 4 of the 8 miles that you ran, they also break both of your legs at the same time. So now you're not running 100 miles an hour or whatever speed you were going before. Now you're just on two little nubs trying to wiggle your way down the street because you can't run on nubs. You can't win the 100-meter dash when you have no legs. So effectively, by sort of dealing with the default on the student loans, that takes you out of the wealth building game. If you're not in the game, you cannot win the game. If you're not, if it's one thing to be losing the game, it's one thing to be struggling in the game, it's one thing to be trying to figure out the game. But a lot of us are not even in the game. We're not in the game of stock market participation. We're not in the game of real estate. We're not in the game of building businesses. We're in the game where we're not doing the powernomics. We're doing the strugglenomics. We're doing the survivornomics. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're struggling to survive, it's very hard for you to even process what it means to thrive. It's very difficult. How can you thrive when you're just barely trying to get by? So you see your friends and you say, "Hey man, how you been doing, man?" "Oh, nothing, man. Just making it, just surviving." Anybody ever hear conversations like that? You know, those struggle conversations. And I'm not making fun of it. A lot of us have those conversations. Sometimes I would pretend to have those conversations just so I could fit in. But then I was like, I don't really want to fit into like a culture that's not really winning. But I would do that. You know, I'd see my friends and I'd feel a little bit guilty because I was like doing kind of good. And I had, you know, I'd been busting my butt. And I'm talking about when I was like 29, 30 years old. And I'm making six figures or whatever. I was doing better because I'd been busting my butt, working really hard. And, you know, and I was raising this weird family where we were big, really big on like personal responsibility. I'm not gonna, I'm not making fun of anybody else's family, but me and my sister reflected on that. I said, yeah, our parents kind of just told us like everything is your responsibility, even if it's not. Everything is your fault, even if it's not. Everything is your doing, even if it's not. That you are the number one driver of your position in life. So we never really grew up hearing that that there were limitations because of racism or that somehow the government was gonna save us or anything like that. It was more like, yeah, white people can be mean mean. Some of them are crazy. A lot of black people are too, and don't nobody really love you. So you better get out here and you better bust your butt and you better go make something happen. Because if you don't make something happen, then nothing will occur, right? And again, not making fun of anybody else, but that's what I kind of heard. So long story short, I remember I would still though try to fit in and have these struggle conversations. How you doing, man? Man, just making it, bro. Just trying to get by. And I really think that just from a spiritual standpoint, number one, those conversations are just not very empowering. They're not very uplifting. Also, I heard brother Nuri Muhammad, who is just a brilliant man. Y'all know Nuri? How many? Give me a yes if you know Nuri Muhammad. If you don't know Nuri Muhammad, give me a yes. How many of y'all know Nuri? Nuri is just one of the great thinkers of all time. He's one of the greatest men on this planet. I am honored to say he is my friend because this brother is so sharp. He is such a great product of the nation and Farrakhan and just again, you don't have to love Farrakhan to at least appreciate some of what he's able to do, right? Even if you don't love him, there's got to be something in there that you can find to appreciate. And Nuri just brings the best of that together. And so Nuri was talking about religion, and he was explaining how there's some religions that what's the word? Some religions that empower you to say because you got the power of God, you can go do anything, right? Don't be scared because God's got your back, and as long as you're connected to God, you become a piece of God or what And so if you think you're a God and you're out here doing things because you really feel like you're connected to a higher power, you're gonna go. You ain't scared of nothing, right? That's to me that's powerful. That's faith. Faith is a wonderful thing. I love faith. I live on faith. I've been living on faith for my entire life. But then there's like some religions, he said, some spaces in religion where it's not something that empowers you. It's kind of just a coping mechanism. Do you understand what I'm saying? It becomes, oh, as Nietzsche was a great philosopher, and he said, he actually described it in a very cynical way. He described religion as opium for the masses, just something that will help you get through the day, like just a pill that you take to survive your otherwise miserable life, to remind you that you are nothing without coming to church and giving your money to the pastor. You're just a nobody. You can't get out of bed. You can't do nothing on your own. You have no power whatsoever. And that doesn't necessarily make you feel confident enough to go out here with a sword and a shield and take on the world. And so in fact, it reminds me of this song. My wife has a song that she loves. There's a singer. I'm trying to remember his name. He sings really well. Anthony Hamilton. I think that's his name. Yeah, we went to an Anthony Hamilton concert. Now, mind you, I would never go to an Anthony Hamilton concert on my own. I went there because my wife is gorgeous and I would have pretty much followed her anywhere. And so we went to this Anthony Hamilton concert, who, by the way, is a great singer. I said, man, this guy can sing. And he had this song that was like a religious song. It was like, if you catch me sleeping, don't wait me till I'm done. Anybody know that song? Just leave me be. I'm waiting till my savior comes. And I was listening to the lyrics, and it's a great song. And my wife plays it all the time. And I said to her, I said, I love this song. It sounds really good, but I'm kind of depressed with this song because it seems like it's kind of telling me, like, just stay asleep, just sit there, and I'm not gonna do nothing. Don't wake me up. Don't, I'm just gonna wait for Jesus to fix it. And I can't do nothing on my own, and my life is terrible, and I'm sad. I said if I listen to the song every day, I'm gonna be kind of depressed. I don't know. Again, I maybe go find the song and read the lyrics. Like I listen to the lyrics, like especially with hip hop and all that, because hip hop really taps in like I think they're deliberately tapping into your subconscious, right? So hip hop, when they have the 808 beat and the rhythm and the repetition, that's definitely brainwashing. That's textbook brainwashing, right? So hip hop, I pay attention to lyrics, but then also even with gospel music, and I was listening to the song and I said, so it's kind of just telling me that I shouldn't be proactive at all in my life, that I should just lay there, stay asleep, and just wait until Jesus comes and fixes it. And that to me comes from slavery, right? It's a great song though. It's nothing against the song, nothing against religion, nothing against any of that, but it's just something to kind of process and think about whether or not we feel that we are on a regular basis being given ideas that are going to really make us feel powerful. Are we really given ideas that are really going to make us feel like, okay, you know what? If the white man ain't gonna fix it, I can fix it myself. And I really think that that's critically important because when you circle back to some of these challenges, some of these issues, I said, I really believe that a lot of our problems, our financial problems, are quite solvable. The question is, do we have the willpower and the discipline and the desire to actually do it? Do we have the confidence to do it? You know, a lot of accomplishment comes down to believing that you can do it, being willing to make the sacrifice to do it, having the discipline to be consistent enough to put in the work or whatever is required in order to make it happen. If you have these things, and then you have some strategic planning on top of that, you plan where you want to go, you commit to the journey, you put in the work on a regular basis, and you're very consistent, then you can accomplish things. But you have to have a level of belief that you're even capable of doing it. And I think that Black self-esteem is deliberately kept very, very low, to the point where there are things that we believe happen around us that we truly believe we have no say in any of this. And it shows up actually a lot in a lot of the depression and anxiety statistics. There's a friend of mine, I can't remember her name because I haven't talked to her in a decade, but she was a very nice lady. She wrote a book, Terry Williams. She wrote a book called Black Pain, and basically it was all about all the Black women that are suffering from clinical depression, and it's not diagnosed, it's not being treated, it's not even being acknowledged, because we all have that strong Black woman stereotype that is um that is just sort of that sort of overwhelms all that. It's like, okay, you're a strong Black woman, you can handle all that. So in their strength, and I do think, I do believe Black women are strong, and I think I see that as a compliment. But at the same time, obviously it can be a problem if you're not acknowledging and dealing with the pain. And so really, if you study like where depression might come from, one of the ways to end up feeling very depressed is when you feel like you have no say over your situation. When something terrible is happening to you, they did this study with rats in a lab. They shocked them, they would put them in a lot of pain, and they gave them no way out. And the ones that had no way out and no solution were the ones who were the most depressed. They could measure how depressed a rat was by the amount of serotonin in his brain. So they said that the rats where they gave them no out, no options, those rats were very depressed. The rats that were given a solution, the rats that were given a process where they could go hit a button and make the pain stop, those rats had far less depression than the rats who were just being hit randomly with all this pain and had nothing they could do about it. So translate that to people. I believe that, especially when you talk about things like economic pain, let's go back to the economics of it all, because money is power. Money is used as a way to control people. Money is used as a weapon. It's used as a tool. It's used as a defense mechanism, whatever it is. Well, so when you look at the economic pain that Black people are in, um, I really suspect that we are put in situations where we're deliberately exposed only to ideas where someone else is always in control of our economic fate and our economic destiny. We are led to believe, even though those of us who are the most educated and the most capable literally feel that if we want to be economically successful, someone has to kind of give that to us. Someone has to give us a job, or someone has to give us an opportunity, right? Instead of seeing opportunities as something that people actually create, or jobs are something that can actually be developed and given to other people. But your training from the very beginning is, sit down, shut up, be well behaved, make sure you're very well trained, so that someone will give you an opportunity. And then what happens is that when you are, say, like I was a big mouth Black man. I've been a big mouth since I was in my 20s. You can go check the record. I used to write articles at the University of Kentucky. They used to get me death threats and everything when I was 24 years old. And at that time, I had a lot of well-intended Black people who warned me. They said, if you keep talking like this, you'll never get a job. And they were like, we're only telling you this because we care about you, Boyce. And if you keep talking about this pro-Black stuff, then you're going to end up being in a situation where you won't be employable. And I said, but it's true. I said, we're being mistreated. I can't sit here and allow this to happen. I'm not going to let somebody talk to me like this and just put me at the bottom of the barrel. And they're like, yeah, we agree with you, Boyce. We get it. We get it. But you can't keep talking like this. And they would send people to talk to me. I kid you not. Because I didn't even realize how much power I had at the time, because I was a 24-year-old kid. But they would send the white administrators would send. One time they had me meet this Black man who was a former quarterback at the University of Kentucky, and they sent him to talk to me because they figured that because we're both Black, he could talk me down and calm me down, so I wouldn't like criticize the administration and the white people in charge. And even at 24, I saw right through it. I remember thinking, wow, they sent the Black guy to talk to me, the one resident Black guy to come and talk to me. And he was a nice guy, and I talked to him, but I remember walking away thinking, I'm not going to change who I am. So we just had a good conversation. And so generally speaking, I think that there's a big chunk of our soul that gets lost, that we end up selling and giving away, because we end up being stuck and committed to this very false idea that the people that are in charge of our set of opportunities and possibilities are going to be unhappy with us if we let that part of who we are out of the closet, right? So effectively, a lot of young black children go crazy. They go crazy because they get in this system where they're forced to constantly code switch. Y'all know, anybody heard that term, code switching? How many of y'all have heard us, people talk about how we have to learn how to really code switch, almost be bilingual in order to survive in corporate America, and in just these awkward situations where who you are is not good enough. So you have to engage in the fundamentally horrific task of living your life as somebody that you're actually not. You have to learn how to live a lie and live that lie very well, just so you can survive economically, just so you can pay the bills, just so you can have some semblance of financial security. But really, you're not secure, because the minute they discover that you're really black, or that you're sitting and listening to people like Boyce Watkins, or Dr. Claude Anderson, or even, God forbid, a Farrakhan, they're going to come punish you for that. And I would just dare to say that they have no right to do that. They don't have a right to tell you who you're allowed to be, but also you have an obligation to defend who you want to be. You have an obligation to understand from an economic consciousness standpoint that when you get to the point where you start to be big and bad and grown, and define your own path, you have to have the economic intelligence and economic security to defend that path. Do you understand? Freedom, there's no group, and this is the thing. We want to get into this conversation to say, well, it's, because we're black, they're not letting us do this, and because we're black, they won't let us do that. And I would just say a free man or a free woman does not really talk like that. A free man or free woman understands ain't nobody gonna let you do nothing. Ain't nobody gonna let you conquer nothing. Ain't nobody gonna let you have your freedom. Ain't nobody gonna let you have nothing. You have to be able to fight for it and defend it. There's no country on the planet, there's no free country on earth that did not have to have a lot of money spent on a military just to defend their freedom. There's no country. There's no you find me a country that has resources, especially the ones that have resources, like you got oil or whatever. If you can't defend what you have, then someone's going to beat you up and take it from you. That's just it. And black people have a lot. We have a lot of amazing things that are very profitable for other people. Our culture has made billions for other people. Our music has made billions for other people. We have style. We have the best athletes on the planet. So of course they're gonna come in and colonize and take things like Kendrick Lamar in his battle with Drake. In case you don't keep up with this, it's been really interesting to watch two big rappers kind of going back and forth. I think Kendrick might have won, but Kendrick made this verse where he said, "You're not a colleague, you're a colonizer." And somebody made a really interesting point, and they said that and everybody's like, "Yeah, that's right. You tell him, Kendrick, you won because you told him he's a colonizer." And somebody said, "That's not a compliment to you, though. That's not really the flex that you think it is. When you call someone a colonizer, you're basically saying that they were able to come into your space, take all your stuff, and all you can do is sit and complain about it. All you can do is say, 'You're a colonizer. I figured it out. You stole everything from me. You took all my stuff. You came in and you took from us. You we don't got nothing because you took it all." Well, you're kind of bragging, like you're kind of letting them know how powerful they are. Like you're really just saying to them, I'm weak and worthless. I can't, because I'm gonna tell you this. Look, give me a yes or no. Do you think that if I wanted to go colonize Chinatown, and let's say I wanted to go in and take over all the Chinese restaurants in Chinatown, how successful do you think I would be if I tried to go economically colonize Chinatown? What do you think? You think they'd sit back and let me just take what I want and take all their money, all their renminbi, that's the Chinese currency, and destroy all their businesses and put them out of business and make them all come work for me? You think they would just that would just be an easy task? No, I would probably end up at the bottom of the river. Like I would, and I certainly wouldn't have any customers in Chinatown. They wouldn't even that the Korean community is so gangster about their economics. They won't even let a black man take over the hair care industry. If you are black and you try to go into the hair care industry, there are countless stories of black people who tried to do black hair. They weren't even trying to do white hair or Asian hair. They were just trying to do hair that was already on their head and get the supplies or whatever, and they would freeze them out. They'd be out of business. because people would engage in these underhanded tactics to make sure that your business is not going to grow. My fofo going to make sure all your money don't grow. That's what they're like. No, we don't let black people actually run the industry. Will allow them to shop with us and give us their money, but you're not taking our money. That's not a pro. That who made you think that you? Who do you think you are? So ultimately, anything that when you talk about things like freedom and power, you really have to understand what game you're playing and what you're really dealing with. You're dealing with highly competitive situations that require tremendous amounts of strategic thinking, discipline, and preparation and sacrifice. And I would just dare to say that I don't see very many elements in the culture other than sports, other than like basketball and football, where elements of discipline and sacrifice are readily discussed. I certainly don't see it in education. I just don't. I don't see the level of educational excellence that I think that we're capable of. I definitely don't see it when it comes to economics. Again, the Black Wealth Master Plan, where I was explaining to you guys, every black child should know how to start a business by the age of 12. Every black child should own stock by the age of 5. Every black child should be in a position to put money on a property by the time they're 21. Most people are not at that level. And I deliberately said it to be aspirational for us to sort of reset our expectations for ourselves, to understand the competitive game that you're in. So I would just encourage you to kind of think about things this way. And that student loan conversation was kind of where we started with this. And to make it clear, just as because I have to keep saying this because I get misinterpreted a lot, is I've never said people should not go to college. I've never said you're a fool because you went and got a bachelor's degree. I would never say that. I'm a college professor. But what I am saying is that student loans are without a doubt the one of if not the greatest drain on black wealth. So if your goal is to close the racial wealth gap, assuming that white folks don't decide to write a big gigantic reparations check, then closing the racial wealth gap means looking at that gigantic economic leak called student loans and saying, how do we do this better? So this does not mean student loans are only for suckers or there's something you should never do. It means sort of rethinking our relationship with college. It means saying, okay, maybe if your goal is to go to college and just go to parties and step shows and major in English literature, maybe there's a better way for you to proceed than for you to go $200,000 in debt for a degree that won't even make you $40,000 a year. Maybe that's not the strategy for you. Now, if you're going to be a dentist and make six figures, then go for it. If you're going to be a medical doctor or any sort of professional license, an attorney, I get it. Student loans can make sense in that context. So I would never say student loans are bad. What I am saying is that the high default rate, the fact that half of all black college graduates, these are our talented 10th. The ones that went to college were the good ones. I'm not talking about the ones who didn't go. I'm talking about the ones who went to college. Those are the ones that you're hoping will pull you out of the mess. So your greatest economic athletes are showing up with a pulled hamstring, a broken toe, and a missing leg. And you're thinking these people are going to be the ones that are going to get you to the next level. They can't get you to the next level because they can't even survive. Your best swimmers that are supposed to come and save everybody are drowning. How are you going to elevate a community when your best swimmers can't even swim? They can't, because when you have a college degree or a master's or whatever we have, and you are saddled with so much debt that you can't hardly move and that you default on that debt, so your credit score is now in the garbage, and then on top of that you have no ability, no understanding of how to even elevate your economic situation through things like entrepreneurship, real estate ownership, or stock market investing. It's hard to say that you're somebody who's going to save everybody because your ability to even save yourself is limited, right? So I'm not making fun of anybody because Lord knows, no, Lord, sorry, Lord knows I would not do that because I know that there are a lot of us in this room who have fallen for that trap. And I'm not here to beat up on you about that. Please don't think that I'm making you. I don't want to make you feel bad. I want you to be aware and I want you to just understand so we can sort of repair that and fix that and adjust the culture so we don't keep making the same mistake over and over again. Someone can benefit from the mistake that you made. You just have to use your mouth and explain this to them so that we don't get caught up in the simple minded message that college is for everybody, or anybody who's smart should be in college, or that college is the only pathway to success, or that student loans are a necessity for everybody. That's just not true. And then also on top of that, here's another thing too. For those of you that were able to pay back the loans, that didn't borrow too much money, one area where you're limited is that you don't have that Swiss Army knife of options when it comes to how you make your money. A job again should be one way to make money. That should be one out of about maybe 8 or 9 different ways that you have to go make money. So this is where the Black Wealth Master Plan kicks in, where every child learns how to start a business by the age of 12. Because I know plenty of highly educated Black people who are making 6 figures who absolutely hate their job and really would rather just quit right now. But they can't quit right now because you got bills, and the ability to figure out how to make money is not quite where you want it to be. I sat down with a bunch of my relatives, and we were having a family financial meeting, and we were talking about all the different ways to make money. And I remember I had one cousin who had 2 master's degrees, who had a 6 figure job working for somebody. I don't know who it was, but he made all the right choices, and he wasn't in a bad situation at all. And he had this really nice job, probably making about 200 grand a year. I have another cousin who was also a Black male who was in his early 30s, who did not have a college degree. So he learned how to become an entrepreneur. He also got really good with computers. So he was actually making more money than almost everybody in the room. In fact, he's the one that where I sat down, where we were talking, and he casually we talk about the price of Bitcoin hitting 50 or 60,000, and he casually says, "Really?" He says, "I bought some Bitcoin." I said, "Well, how many did you buy?" He said, "I don't know, about 3 or 400 a few years ago." I said, 3 or 400 Bitcoin is that's I think that might be worth over a million, few $1 million." And he was like, "Oh, really? Cool." It was like that, because he had casually bought Bitcoin when it was like $1 or $5 and forgot about it. And then he goes back and finds out he's got all this money sitting there, right? So anyway, I remember listening to them talk, and my cousin with all the education, with the fancy job, he says, it's really hard to figure out how to make money like without a job. Like I don't really know. It seems like there's just not that many opportunities to make money without a job. It's really hard to figure that out. And my other cousin, the oppressed Black man with no college degree, he casually says, he says, "Oh, there's money everywhere. There's money everywhere." And I'll never forget that exchange, because what that said to me was that my cousin without the college degree had a very high level of economic consciousness. And what is consciousness? Consciousness is awareness. It is sight. It is the ability to see things that other people don't see. And so what I was visualizing is I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking, okay, so one of my relatives was in the position of a lot of us educated Black people. He'd been given these opportunities because he had the right credentials. He behaved like he was supposed to, and he got a great job making good money. Good for him. It's worked out for him. But he wanted to leave his job because of the obvious reasons that many of us might want to leave our jobs. And but in my mind, it's kind of like, it reminds me of an animal that was trained in a facility, maybe in a zoo or in even a circus, right? Where you're skilled, but you're constrained, you're controlled. You eat every day because the zookeeper comes and feeds you every day. And so you've learned that if I want to eat that day, I got to do what the zookeeper tells me to do. Give me a yes if you're following this analogy. If I don't do what the zookeeper says, I'm going to be punished. They're going to electrically shock me or put me in solitary confinement or something like that, right? So you're doing well, kind of, because you're well behaved, right? And you're talented. They come in, they taught the bear how to ride the tricycle, and you're the one who learned how to ride the tricycle first. So you get lots of treats for learning how to ride the tricycle and perform well at the circus. But as that bear, you really, if you ever even really even begin to act like a real bear, like you growl at somebody or you maul somebody or you decide to go hunt and fight or whatever, like you're gonna get shot, right? So in a way, like you're kind of in a nice situation, but another way, it's kind of limited who you are and even transformed who you are. You are a bear in captivity. Do you follow what I'm saying? You're a lion in captivity. So then my other cousin, I saw him and I saw a bear in the wild. So the bear in the wild is going to be a little rough around the edges, right? Because he doesn't know the system. He doesn't follow the rules. He would not do well in a zoo or a circus or even a wildlife reserve. Um, and he's struggled. He's been out in the wild, which means that he's had many days where he's been hungry, and being hungry motivated him to learn how to hunt and fight and kill and fish and do what he's got to do to survive. So because he went through the struggle and the pain of being hungry and not having a system to take care of him, he's also picked up these specialized skills that he never would have gotten if he spent his whole life in the zoo. Do you follow what I'm saying? Let me know if you're getting what I'm saying here. So with my cousin, the reason that he was probably the richest person in that room, the one without the degree, is because he sort of just learned how to adapt to the situation that he was in. He was in a situation where there was no Superman, there was no boss sending a weekly paycheck, there was no security whatsoever being given by the system, and he learned how to just adjust and survive in however he could. And as a result, he was fitter than everyone else. The animal in the wild that has to survive in the wild, he has to hunt to get his food. So he's going to be in a better position to hunt than the animal who has sat back in the cage, getting fat, waiting for the zookeeper to drop the food off. Do you understand? So people who know how to hunt tend to be better off. Also, hunters have a stronger level of awareness. So a hunter can be, think about this, a person, if you imagine you take a person out of the city and you put them in the middle of the Amazon, and then you grab another person who is who's a survival expert, who's lived in the woods his whole life, and you put him in the middle of the Amazon, who's going to survive? Who's gonna have the greatest likelihood of surviving? Right? We know the answer to that. And part of the reason that there's that differential in survival probability is that the second person who grew up in the forest, who understands how to hunt and fish and everything else, his awareness is much higher. So one person, the person who's used to only eating whenever there's a restaurant available or when a grocery store is open, they're going to look around, they're going to say, gosh, I'm starving, I'm so hungry, there's no food out here. The other person may look around and say, what are you talking about? There's food everywhere. I saw a flock of geese over there. I saw some berries over there. I saw I saw something else over here, and there's wood, and there's this, and there's that, and you can eat those things, right? But that's because they've been educated. Their awareness is high. So economically speaking, the equivalent of that is that when you make that decision, or when you're raised in a culture, or when you adapt to a culture of a free black man or a free black woman, your financial consciousness tends to be higher than those of us who are raised in captivity. People that really understand, this is why, again, this is why I'm glad you're coming to financial consciousness training, because that's the goal. The goal is to say, there's, like my cousin, there's money everywhere. There's money everywhere. So I want you to be able to see it. And when you start to see it, and then you start to have the confidence to know you can go get it, and you've got the skill to see it. You see the flock of geese, you learn how to use the bow and arrow so you can hunt and get those geese. Then what happens is, at first it's hard because you're a little hungry, you're a little scared, but eventually you're eating better than the person in captivity. You're eating better. What do I mean by that? Well, do you know how many people I've seen who went out and really embraced entrepreneurship and started a business and were suddenly making like literally 50 times more money than they made on their job? Like they literally, I'm talking like $100,000 a month, that kind of thing, just by tapping into something that was always there, and but they never really knew it was there because they didn't have the consciousness to see the opportunity. Do you know? Uh, do you know the feeling? The one thing. This is why I love entrepreneurship and the freedom of it, is because, like, if you want to raise, you just know that I don't have to ask my boss for a raise. I don't have to wait another 3 years for them to give me the raise I deserve. I don't have to get a better job. I can just sell another product. I can market differently. I can cut my costs. I can make a partnership and give myself a raise, which gives you a more empowered feeling in life than simply waiting for somebody else to do something. Now, I'm not here to tell everybody to become an entrepreneur. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that I believe that, culturally speaking, we must make sure, especially with the kids, that they are exposed to all these possibilities, that they're just sort of exposed to this idea that's really a controversial idea, but I don't want you to overreact to this. But just like what ideas that might seem extreme, like slavery is a choice. Like, I'm not saying that slavery was a choice in 1745. I'm not saying that, and I'm certainly not trying to advocate for the ideas of Kanye West, because I've spent enough time on the phone with him to know that he needs his medication. what I am saying is that maybe there are some types of slavery that really are a choice. And maybe the choice isn't necessarily a choice that you can make right now. Right? Like if you're in a tough spot, like it's like when let me explain. It's like when our 13-year-old misses the bus and I say, "Well, you still got to go to school." And she's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do? I have no choice. I can't. I need a ride, Boyce, because I can't get to school." Well, the thing is, you had a choice. You had a choice proactively. Your choice isn't being made right now. That's not the best choice for you. That's not the best scenario for you. Now you have no choice, but you backed yourself into a situation where you have no choice because you had a choice this morning when you chose to hit the snooze button on the alarm clock instead of getting your butt out of bed. Do you understand? So when we say slavery is a choice, no, I'm not saying that when you get up on a Tuesday that you have a choice as to whether you're going to go to work or not. What I'm saying is that your choice really comes from not putting yourself in a position where you've only got one choice. Do you follow what I'm saying? So what I would say with children is it goes back to that word I love to use called options. We I can teach you all about stock options and all that. We do that regularly here in the Black Business School, but I'm talking about just options in life. If you raise kids in a certain way and prepare them for the future to always know how to have plenty of options, then that will translate into choices. And for people that have options that also have choices, slavery really becomes a choice. There's a difference between going to work because you have to versus going to work because you want to. That person that's going to work because they want to is literally making the choice to go to work and deal with their boss. Other people may not be making a choice because all their choices were murdered 10, 15 years ago when they locked themselves into capitalist slavery. Capitalism is slavery. It really is. I'm not being extremist when I say that. It becomes slavery when you don't understand this game and you don't prepare. Oh yeah, they're gonna eat you up. And their number one goal is to lock you down to the point where you have no choice. Um, In fact, it's really weird how many financial things pop up on a given day. And literally during my little sermon that I was given to the teenage black girls that were stuck in the car with me for 15 minutes, I said there are so many people who, because they did not engage in proactive strategies to prepare for life, they get in situations where they have no choice. And so what happens is that when you get in a situation where you're desperate, say financially, and I was warning them as young women, I said, there will be plenty of men who will take advantage of your lack of options as it pertains to money. They will show up and they'll say, I'll pay the rest of your rent, but you're going to have to give me something that money can't buy. And I said, so the reason I'm forcing you all to listen to me right now is because I want you to prepare in advance so that you will always have a choice. You will never have to do something that is unethical or harmful to yourself or something that makes you feel terrible because you're stuck in a situation where you have no choice. Everything's about those choices and options. And that's really what this conversation is all about. When you use the words freedom, choices, and options, they're all connected. They're all cousins of each other. I'm done. I don't have anything else to say. Um, Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to get on the text list if you want to get reminded when we do Money in the Morning. Just text the word morning, MORNING, to the phone number 87948. If somebody could type 87948 in the chat, I would appreciate that. So text morning to 87948 and I will send you an invitation. Number two, I'm going to be speaking this weekend in Philadelphia at the Get Money Fest hosted by Jay Ortiz and the Pish Posh Girl. If you'd like to come out, you can go to getmoneyfest.com or you can just show up. It's in Philadelphia. On my Instagram, I put the flyer up. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So you can go to my Instagram, look at the flyer. The address is on there. Just come to the door, tell them you're with me. They'll let you in. It's free to the public. Let's see what else. Thirdly, if you want the ebook for the $5 a day investing plan, that's also free. Just go to b1investing.com, be the number one investing.com. Somebody type b1investing.com in the chat for me if you could. And then last but not least, you guys know in our Black Wealth Mastery store at drboycebooks.com, we did a 24-hour discounts. Everything is 60% off until the end of today. So if you go to drboycebooks.com, write down this code. It is Today only 2024. So if you use the code word today only 2024, all one word, it has to be all one word, and you put it in the checkout, you'll get 60% off anything in the store. And the store has financial flashcards for children, tickets to the All Black National Convention. You can get books. My book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Dr. Claude Anderson's books are there. My wife's books are also in there. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And so if you'd like to go take a look at drboycebooks.com, the code word is today only 2024, all one word. Put that in and checkout. It'll take 60% off. So even if the price is already discounted 30 or 40%, it'll take another 60% off. That's today only. So feel free to go take a look at that. All right. Chelsea says, bought my tickets yesterday. Yeah, the convention's going to be in Lombard, Illinois, which is right outside Chicago, October 25th to the 27th. The convention, I guarantee with everything that if you come to the convention, you will love it. It will be life changing for you, and you've never seen anything like it. That's our goal, is to create spaces and experiences that are just different from what we've kind of dealt with and been exposed to. And so since this convention didn't exist, God told me to create it, and we did it. I didn't know how to do a convention, but we did it 15 years ago. Lene Javette helped me, and now it's an annual thing. We're almost on our 10th year. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com if you want to take a look. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Okay, guys, have a good day. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Don't forget, if you want to get a reminder, get on the text list. Text the word morning to 87948, and I will hit you guys up then. Take care.